What's a country bumpkin like you doing here? I'm here to celebrate my brother's wedding. We invited you because you're family, but you don't really belong here. If I were a man, I'd never want to marry someone like you. Then, they started making fun of my parents. It's odd, right? An elite like your brother being born to a family of farmers. Please, don't insult my parents anymore. I couldn't stay silent. Maybe he was adopted from somewhere. Are you sure you won't regret saying more? Huh. Why would I regret it? It's you who should. Country folk like you are such a hassle. Can't you just go away? Then please accept this, and I'll leave. The next moment, she brushed off the envelope of money. It fell to the floor. I couldn't possibly accept something like this from a poor person. But, it's a wedding gift. That's the problem with dirty farmers' daughters like you. Don't you know? Wedding gifts should be at least $6,000. What are you talking about? Confused, I listened as my sister-in-law continued. Well, you couldn't possibly afford $6,000. You're not an elite like me. She laughed loudly, not caring about the people around us. The other guests started murmuring. My sister-in-law really didn't understand anything. Then, my father came up from behind. Here, I have $60,000. Is that enough? What? Looking at my surprised sister-in-law, my father burst into laughter. Confused and not understanding what was happening, my sister-in-law. I told you so. And so, my sister-in-law went from happiness to hell in an instant. My name is Catherine Johnson, and I work at a city hall while also helping with farming on weekends. My parents, who are farmers, struggled but managed to support my brother Chris and me through college. I'm still grateful for that. You don't have to do that. That's right. Live your life the way you want, Catherine. It's okay. I've already decided. After graduating from college, I returned to my hometown. I wanted to give back to my parents in some way. That's why I help with the farming. However, my brother Chris had the opposite view. I still remember what he said on the day of his college graduation. I'm never coming back to this godforsaken place. My parents and I were shocked and speechless. I couldn't believe he had been harboring such feelings. After that, he didn't contact us much and never returned. Then one Saturday, after finishing the farming work and returning home, I saw a familiar face. Well, long time no see. Brother. The brother I saw after several years had an air of elitism about him. Still getting dirty in the dirt, huh? Must be tough. I do it because I like it. And you? What brings you here? At this time, my brother wasn't alone. He had brought along someone who seemed to be his girlfriend. I remember thinking she looked elite and had the air of a lady. This is Emily, my fiancée. Fiancé. Just here to introduce her today. Didn't really want to come, but well. I greeted this Emily. I'm his sister, Catherine. Nice to meet you. Don't come too close, you're dirty. What? What if my clothes get dirty? That's typical for country folks. I was definitely annoyed but didn't say anything. This was my first encounter with Emily, who would later become my sister-in-law. Then my brother and his fiancée went to greet my father. I'm planning to marry this Emily. I see. But one thing I want to make clear, I have no intention of coming back here, and I absolutely don't want to deal with caregiving. Wait a minute, brother. I was silenced by a gesture from our father. That's fine. But if that's the case, I won't be able to leave anything for you. Is that okay? I don't care. There's nothing good about inheriting a house or farm in the countryside. Understood. I have no objections to your marriage. However, the next words from Emily's mouth were beyond anything we could have imagined. Excuse me, may I ask something? What's up? How do you even live in such a filthy house? Excuse me? I couldn't help but let out an astonished voice. From her expression, she seemed genuinely curious. However, my father, unfazed and without irritation, answered calmly. Well, our family has been farming for generations. We grow and sell vegetables. I see. So, you're basically peasants. I could never do something like that. My brother, standing beside her, was desperately trying to hold back his laughter. Seeing them like this, I thought to myself what kind of people they were. My mother, sitting next to my father, had been looking down the whole time. It was truly sad. That's the way it is, I guess. Did I say something weird? Oh, no. Don't worry about it. As we were about to see them off. You are Catherine, right? Yes, that's me. If you stay in a place like this, you'll never get married. It's a shame, you're quite pretty. I guess so. No, she fits right in with this place. See ya. After that, the two of them left, seemingly pleased with themselves. Have they left? Yeah. They were the worst. More than I imagined. How can someone even talk like that? They must have been really pampered. Honestly, I don't ever want to meet them again. After that, I didn't hear from my brother. As work got busier, I almost forgot about my brother's marriage. Then, in our local government, I was chosen for a project to elevate the status of agriculture, which they had mocked. My involvement in farming played a big part in this. Wow, that's impressive. Indeed. What exactly will you be doing? Things like securing sales channels, promoting our crops nationwide, and so on. If it's successful, it should make life easier for you too. You don't have to worry about us. That's right. You don't need to go to such lengths for us, Catherine. It's okay, I want to do this. My parents seemed a bit happy despite insisting it wasn't necessary. Their kind nature often led them to face hardships. But I realized they didn't need to continue struggling like this. Another reason I was so invested in this project was to ensure those two couldn't complain ever again. About 6 months had passed since then. What brings you here? I was just about to head to the field. Still dressed like that? Don't you find it embarrassing? Are you saying that all the farmers nationwide should feel embarrassed? What? While I was arguing with my brother, a man approached us from behind. Easy there, Chris. Calm down. I'm sorry, James. Father-in-law? Come on, hurry up and show us inside. I led them to our parents as instructed by my brother. Nice to meet you. I'm James Anderson, Emily's father. Thank you for coming all this way to our place. We're here today to discuss their wedding. Then my parents started discussing the wedding plans with him. The plan was to leave most of the decisions to the couple. We learned that Emily's mother had passed away when she was young, and she was raised solely by her father. And her father owned a chain of restaurants nationwide. Look at the time. I would have loved to chat more, but I have another appointment. That's all right. Please prioritize your schedule. With that, I must take my leave. Saying so, Emily's father left in a luxury car that was waiting outside. And my brother and his fiancée remained. This gave me an uneasy feeling. You really shouldn't be associating with people like him. You don't have to say it like that. I'm just speaking the truth. I then posed a simple question to my brother. By the way, how did you meet Emily? I guess I never told you. She's a colleague at my company. She's an elite, just like me. Elite? You might not understand. She's competent at her job and has a lot of trust from her superiors. My brother indeed had graduated from a prestigious university and landed a job at a major corporation. Despite the frustration, it was true that he was exceptionally talented. I wondered if this was what fueled his arrogance. So, you fell for Emily at first sight when you happened to meet her there? Yeah, that's right. Well, that's it then. Are you satisfied? Yes, thank you. I wished he had chosen someone more decent, but of course, I kept that thought to myself. Sensing this, Emily seemed to look down on us even more. My father didn't say anything, but he probably didn't want to come here. That's true. My father-in-law is kind. So, don't get it wrong, okay? He recognizes only Chris, not you guys. Don't do anything embarrassing from now on. Feeling the need to speak up for my silent parents, I confronted them. Why can you only say such things? What? You shouldn't talk to your parents like that, Chris. I never asked to be raised, did I? What is that supposed to mean? I was reaching my limit of tolerance. Noticing this, my father stepped in. That's enough. We don't have any intention of doing anything. Looks like my dad understands better than you, Catherine. Then, Emily targeted my mother. I've been wanting to say this, but I think you should dress better. Me? If the parents look shabby, it reflects poorly on Chris. He's going to become more important. Glancing at my father, I saw his fists clenched with frustration. He especially hated seeing my mother belittled. Even by his son's wife. Dad? Oh, yes. Anyway, Emily is right. Stop messing around in the dirt and pay attention to other things. I doubt country folks can manage that. The two laughed heartily. Seeing this, I almost lost my cool. In the end, Chris and Emily left, continuing to mock us. This time, we didn't even bother to see them off. This time, they really got on my nerves. I thought you were going to lose it. That goes for you too, Catherine. You had quite the expression near the end. Me? Really? Mother joined the conversation. You two have always been like that. Not really. The scariest person in this house is definitely Mom. That's not true. Catherine's right. Especially right after we got married. Hey. Your reaction says it all. Despite the terrible start, I felt our bond as a family had deepened. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Chris. Hello? Catherine, it's me. We just submitted our marriage certificate. We're officially husband and wife now. I thought you were already married. Well, congratulations. About the wedding, it's set for 3 months from now. I guess I'll invite you guys. Family should be there by default. Well, I wouldn't mind if you weren't, but we're inviting a lot of people. It wouldn't look good if our parents didn't show up. That's the only reason for inviting us? I couldn't help but feel a sense of clarity. I'll let Mom and Dad know. Good. And make sure to wear something decent, okay? No muddy clothes. As if I'd go dressed like that. Just saying. With that, Chris ended the call. At that moment, I thought he'd eventually learn his lesson. No, I wanted to give him a taste of his own medicine. Soon after, there was progress in the project I was working on. The highlight was inviting a famous restaurant owner to see the local produce, including vegetables and meat. If successful, this could secure a distribution channel. Of course, my parents were involved in this as well. Are you sure everything will be okay? I'm indeed a bit worried. On the day of the event, my parents seemed nervous. Don't worry. Our vegetables are fresh and delicious, they're well known for that. Have more confidence. Yes, you're right. I have some preparations to do, so I'll head to the venue first. Understood. An hour later, the event began. Various vegetables harvested by local farmers were displayed, and restaurant owners and chefs were sampling them. After a while, it seemed some contracts were successfully established. Maybe we shouldn't have come. Don't be so pessimistic. We're just getting started. Still. Then, someone approached us. Dad. What's up? My father looked up. And there was Emily's father, Mr. Anderson. Nice to see you again. I had a feeling you'd be here. We're a bit embarrassed to be seen like this. No. May I try some of these vegetables? Of course, please do. Mr. Anderson seriously tasted the vegetables we grew. My father and I exchanged glances, feeling the weight of each second. Wow! These are all excellent. I'd like to use them in my restaurants. Really? That would be wonderful. Absolutely. This has nothing to do with our children's marriage. Everything was delicious. Thank you so much. And that's how we secured the contract. This will surely make my daughter happy. At that moment, an idea struck me. I have a request. What is it? I'd like to keep this a secret from my brother and your daughter for now. I think it will be more surprising when the right time comes. I was a bit worried if this proposal would be acceptable. I see, a surprise then. Yes, exactly. Understood, I'll keep it a secret. Thank you so much. My father whispered to me from behind. Is this okay? Yes, I think so. Mr. Anderson doesn't seem to know their true nature yet. Revealing it at the right moment could be interesting. That could indeed turn out to be quite entertaining. Right? Perhaps, in some way, it felt like a sign that fortune hadn't abandoned us. Following that, things went surprisingly smoothly, and we started supplying our vegetables to the restaurants owned by Emily's father. Given his nationwide chain, the volume was substantial. We were busy, but the income was significant. Then the wedding day arrived. Determined not to be ridiculed, we dressed in new, fine clothes and headed to the venue. We were astonished upon arriving at the wedding hall. It was not just grand, but the number of guests was far beyond a mere 100. Overwhelmed, we were approached by Emily. What are country folks like you doing here? We're here to celebrate my brother's wedding. We invited you because you're family, but you really don't belong here. Just don't cause any trouble. We won't. How would you know? Country folks like you probably have never been to such a place. I couldn't imagine marrying someone like her if I were a man. Then, she started to mock my parents again. It's so strange, isn't it? An elite like your brother being born to a family of farmers. Please, don't insult my parents any further. I couldn't stay silent. Maybe he was adopted from somewhere. Do you really want to regret saying more? Huh. Why would I regret it? It's you who should. This is why country folks are such a hassle. Can't you just go away? Then please accept this, and I'll leave. At that moment, I brushed off the envelope of money. It fell to the floor. I couldn't possibly accept something like that from a poor person. But it's a wedding gift. That's the problem with dirty farmers' daughters like you. Don't you know? Wedding gifts should be at least $6,000. What are you talking about? Confused, I listened as Emily continued to berate me. Well, you probably can't afford $6,000, right? You'd go broke. Emily, unfazed by the onlookers, began laughing loudly. The other guests started murmuring, clearly disconcerted by her behavior. She really didn't understand anything. Then, my father appeared from behind. Here, I have $60,000. Is this okay? What? Emily, shocked, watched as my father burst into laughter. Are you satisfied now? Confused and not understanding what was happening, Emily stood there baffled. I told you so. Then Chris rushed over. What happened? Ask Emily. Emily, what happened? Explain. Pointing at the $60,000 my father had offered, Emily was at a loss for words. What's this money for? It's our wedding gift. You said you couldn't accept less than $60,000. What? For now, why don't you take Emily away? We're attracting too much attention here. Chris, still puzzled, led Emily away. Then Mr. Anderson, Emily's father, approached us. What was that all about just now? Well, actually, I explained everything to him. He held his head in his hands. Where did I go wrong in raising her? After her mother passed, I guess I didn't pay enough attention. It might be that, but it's probably not just that. I'm truly sorry, he apologized sincerely. I then made a suggestion. All right, let's go with that plan. Dad, are you okay with this? Let's leave it to Catherine. The wedding ceremony began. Chris and Emily looked somber. After the church ceremony, we were in the dressing room. The guests were already seated at the reception. This was the only chance. I had a microphone that I had arranged with the staff beforehand. Turning it on without Chris and Emily noticing, I was ready to speak. Explain what that was all about earlier. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. I mean the money. That money is what we earned. Right, Dad? Yes, that's right. There's no way a poor farming family could come up with that kind of money. Emily was desperately trying to argue her point. That's right. It's definitely strange. There's nothing strange about it. That was a legitimate payment. We've been quiet about it, but we've contracted with a famous restaurant to supply our produce. There's nothing odd about that, is there? What kind of restaurant would take produce from such a dirty place? It must be some low-grade place. Yeah, exactly. Our family couldn't help but laugh at their ludicrous assertions. What's so funny? Just wondering if you really think it's okay to say such things. You think you can mock us? My father is. Of course, we know. But what if your father is the one who has a contract with us? That's impossible. Well, you could always ask him to know for sure, right? Just then, Mr. Anderson, Emily's father, walked in through the door. Dad? Mr. Anderson. Tell these filthy people off. Mr. Anderson let out a deep sigh. What a foolish daughter. What? Everything Catherine's saying is true. I didn't realize things were this bad. That can't be true, can it? I have no reason to lie. And I've heard all about what's been going on. Chris, sensing trouble, started to make excuses. It's not like that. I was thinking of you, Mr. Anderson. Thinking of me? Ah, well, excuses are unbecoming. Shut up. You just stay out of this. Is that the right thing to say? I then showed Chris the hidden microphone I had been holding. A microphone? Guess where it's connected to? No way! Too late to realize now. I then handed the microphone to Emily's father, Mr. Anderson. He began to address the gathered guests. Everyone, thank you for gathering here today despite your busy schedules. However, as you have just heard, we will make a formal apology at a later date. Next, I passed the microphone to my father. I am the groom's father. My son is a despicable man who insults even his parents, sitting complacently in his own arrogance. We cannot continue to disgrace ourselves in front of you. We appreciate if you could leave this matter in our hands and kindly exit the venue. What are you saying? There are company CEOs here. It's too late now. Everyone already knows. There's still time. Chris blurted out and rushed out of the room, but he couldn't stop the departing guests. Following him, I found Chris collapsed on his knees in the empty hall. Too bad, brother. But you brought this on yourself. Since when did you plan all this? Who knows? I've forgotten. You. Emily ran to him. What do we do now? Emily. We'll always be together, right? Of course. The sight of Emily in her wedding dress and Chris in his tuxedo embracing each other was indescribably poignant. If this were a scene from a drama, it would be picture perfect. I was thinking about all this. Then, my father and the others came up to me. Now, you two must manage on your own. Exactly. We won't help you anymore. You're adults and should live by your own means. We can't survive like that. You were pampered too much. I won't be around forever. This is just happening sooner than expected. Oh, no! Emily collapsed, sobbing. Don't worry, brother. You said you didn't need help, right? You're abandoning me? Don't be mistaken. You were the one who first abandoned our family. Now it's time for you two to manage on your own. Leaving them there, we walked out of the venue. I'm truly sorry for my daughter's behavior. The same goes for us. We're sorry. Please, let us invite you to our restaurant. It's not enough to make up for this, but that's not necessary. We'll be happy to visit your restaurant with the family." With that, we parted ways. The aftermath of the wedding was left to Chris and Emily. The trouble they faced now was their own making. And I felt no sympathy. It seems the cost of the wedding venue is going to be close to $400,000. What? Really? But with that many guests, it makes sense. Plus, everyone left midway through, right? There are also cancellation fees for the meals. Oh no. But the $60,000. Don't worry about that. Who do you think I am? I secretly collected it back. Way to go, Dad. Chris and Emily ended up being responsible for the entire cost. Normally, some of it could be covered by the wedding gifts, but it seems most of the guests took their gifts back when they left. Even though Chris and Emily were elite employees, they didn't have enough money to cover all the expenses. Moreover, they were both fired because of this incident. With limited options, Chris decided to come to us. "What are you doing here? You must have plenty of money, right? Give some to me." Chris and Emily came back home, looking ragged and worn out. "There's no way we can do that. You're being too presumptuous." "That's right. There's nothing here for you, not even a penny." "But I am the eldest son of this house, right? I should inherit it eventually." "Have you forgotten? When you left, I said you wouldn't inherit anything. Now you understand. Don't come back here ever again. We'll show you. You'll regret this one day." With those parting words, Chris and Emily left. The next day, Mr. Anderson, Emily's father, paid us a visit. I guessed they would come here too. Yes, they came asking for money. I've essentially disowned Emily. I see. He said essentially because, despite everything, she was still his only daughter. Mr. Anderson looked a bit sad as he said this. Afterward, the two of them seemed to be working non-stop to earn money. Given their high pride, it apparently wasn't going well. The thought of being free from them brings me real happiness. I have no plans to marry, especially after seeing what happened to my brother. I'll continue helping with the farm and live life as I please.